Verse 24. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahmakarma Samadhina. The utensils used for sacrifice are the absolute. The sacred fire is the absolute, and the offering made is the absolute. One whose consciousness is always absorbed in thoughts of the absolute attains the absolute. Verse 25. Daivam epapare jagnam yogina pariyupasate brahmagna vapare jagnam yagnena naiva payuvati. Some yogis perform sacrifices to the demigods. Others offer themselves into the fire of the absolute. Verse 26. Shrotradin indriyanyanye samyam agni shujuvate shabdadim vishayam anya indriyagni shujuvate. Some offer the senses of hearing, seeing, touching, smelling, and tasting into the fire of self-control. Others offer the sense objects, sound, form, taste, touch, and smell into the fire of the senses. Verse 27. Sarvanindriya karmani pranakarmani chapare atma samyama yogagnau juvate jnana dipite. Some offer all the functions of the senses and the functions of the life airs into the fire of self-purification, which is ignited by knowledge. Verse 28. Dravya yagnas tapo yagna yoga yagnas tatapade svadaya yagena yagnascha yatayasam sitarataha. Some yogis sacrifice their possessions through penances or through the practice of yoga. Some undertake severe vows and strictly sacrifice through knowledge by studying the Veda. Verse 29. Apane juvate pranam pranipanam tatapade pranapana gati rudva pranayama parayanaha. Others practice control of the life airs by offering the ingoing breath into the outgoing breath and outgoing breath into the ingoing breath, and thus restrain both. Others offer their life airs by controlling the intake of food. Verse 30 and 31. Apade niyataraha pranam praneshu juvati sarve pyate jagnavido yagna sapita kalmasaha yagna sismrita bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam nayam lokastya yagnasya kutonya kuru satama. All of them are conversant with the principles of sacrifice. They have purged themselves of impiety by their performance of sacrifice. They are satisfied with the remnants of sacrifice, and thus they attain the eternal absolute truth. O best of the Kuru dynasty, for one that never performs sacrifice, even the pleasures of this world are denied. Then what to say of the next life? Verse 32. Evam bahu vida jagna vitata brahmano mukhe karmajan viditan sarvan evam jatva vimokshasi. In this way, many varieties of sacrifices have been explained in the Vedas. You should understand all of them are born of action. Knowing this, you shall be liberated. Anuvriti commentary by His Divine Grace Jagakuru Swami Bhakti Gaurava Narsingha Maharaj. The above verses principally deal with sacrifice and sacrifices of different types. However, it should be mentioned at the onset that Sri Krishna does not recommend animal sacrifices. The very word sacrifice conjures up images of bloodshed, and rightfully so. In the history of religions throughout the world, from antiquity to modernity, the sacrifice of both animals and humans has been a common practice. Most progressive thinkers, however, now view human and animal sacrifice as totally repugnant, and certainly Sri Krishna would be in complete agreement. The sacrifices mentioned by Krishna mainly concern the performance of austerities, breath control, study of the Veda, purification of knowledge, renunciation, observing vows, etc. The purpose of all such sacrifices is to advance in realization of the absolute truth. It is often said that God is one or that it is all one. That is true, but there is a need to qualify such statements. God is the absolute truth, one without a second, but this does not mean that all living beings are God. The Bhagavad Gita is straightforward on the point that all living beings are eternally individual and never become God at any time. Similarly, God is always the absolute truth and nothing less. It is said in verse 24 that the utensils of sacrifice are absolute, the sacred fire is absolute, the priest or performer of sacrifice is absolute, and one who is always absorbed in thoughts of the absolute attains the absolute. This is not to say that the individuality of any of these is lost in the absolute. Everything that comes in contact with the absolute truth acquires the qualities of the absolute by association, but the individuality of each is maintained. The point is also made that practically everything in life depends on sacrifice, even worldly pleasures. Without sacrifice, one cannot enjoy in this life or in the next. The knowledge of performing sacrifice is essential for the students of yoga. Knowing this, one becomes liberated. Verse 33. Shreyandravya maya yajna jnana yajna parantapa sarvam karma kilam parta gani parisamapyate. O conqueror of the enemy, the sacrifice involving knowledge is higher than the sacrifice of material ingredients. All actions culminate in knowledge, O Partha. Verse 34. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te ganam ganinas tatpadarshanaha. Just try to understand this knowledge by approaching a self-realized person who has seen the truth. Make submissive inquiry and render service unto him. The Tattvadarshi, the seer of the truth, will instruct you and give you initiation into this sacred path. Verse 35. Yajnatva napunar moham eva yashasi pandava yena bhutan yasheshani drakshashatman yato mai. O son of Pandu, understanding this knowledge, you will never be subject to illusion again. Through this knowledge, you will see the spiritual nature of all living beings and that they are all situated within me. Verse 36. Api chedasi papebhya sarvebhya papakritamaha sarvam gana plavenaiva vrijinam santarishasi. Even if you are the most impious, you can cross over the ocean of all vices by boarding the boat of wisdom. Verse 37. Yataidamsi samidogner basmasat kurute arjuna ganagni sarva karmani basmasat kurute tata. As a blazing fire turns wood into ashes, similarly, the fire of wisdom renders all karma to cinders, O Arjuna. Verse 38. Nahi ganena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiraha kalinatmani vindati. There is nothing as pure as knowledge in this world. In due course, one who is perfect in yoga realizes this. Anuvriti commentary by Srila Guru Maharaj. As per the understanding of advanced students and masters of Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna's instruction in verse 34 is that one should try to understand the truth by approaching a tattvadarshi, one who has seen the truth with an attitude of submissive inquiry, pariprashna, and service, seva. Being satisfied by such submissive inquiry and service, the tattvadarshi will instruct and initiate the disciple in the sacred science of yoga. In other words, Krishna is telling Arjuna that to know the truth, he must approach a spiritual master, guru, and become his disciple. This quote is from the Nectar of Devotion, the Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. Guru pada shrayas tasmat Krishna dikshati shikshanam vishrambena guru seva sadhu vatmanuvartmanam. Firstly, one must surrender at the feet of the Guru, receive training from him by accepting spiritual initiation and instructions regarding Sri Krishna, serve the Guru with affection, and follow in the footsteps of the sadhus. That was the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. As the representative of Krishna, the Guru or Acharya's instructions should be heeded. The genuine Guru is the representative of Krishna, Paramatma, and is of two types, Diksha and Shiksha. The Diksha Guru gives initiation and accepts the student or disciple as a member of the Parampara. Such initiations are not secret and are held in plain view of the public, but at the initiation ceremony, the disciple receives the Maha Mantra and Gayatri mantras for meditation. The Shiksha Guru is one who imparts practical instructions to the disciple for the progressive advancement in self-realization. The function of Diksha and Shiksha may be performed by the same Guru or by different Gurus. But in any case, both the Diksha and Shiksha Gurus must be representatives of Krishna. Thus, one should see the Guru as non-different from Krishna and should offer him all respects. Krishna confirms this in the Srimad Bhagavatam as follows. Acharyam mam viganyam navamanyeta karchit namarcha buddhya sutyeta sarvadeva mayo guru. One should consider the Acharya, Guru, as non-different from myself and never show any disrespect towards him. One should not envy him, nor consider him to be an ordinary person, as he is the representative of all the demigods. That was the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the guru-disciple relationship that has been accepted since time immemorial. However, the question arises as to who is a guru. What are the qualifications of a guru? It is clear that the disciple's mood should be one of eagerness to know the truth, accompanied by submissive inquiry and service. But what of the guru? What are his qualifications? The Bhagavad Gita says that the Guru must be one who has seen the truth, a tattvadarshi, and one who knows the science of Krishna consciousness. This presupposes that the Guru is himself a disciple of the previous Guru. This is known as the Guru Parampara, or the Guru-disciple succession. Bhagavad Gita sets the standards to acquire entrance into the knowledge of the absolute truth and what that truth is. Krishna is the principal speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, and therefore the Guru must necessarily be in the parampara of Krishna. The first qualification of the Guru is that he must be in an authentic parampara, and he must teach the disciple the principles and conclusions of Bhagavad Gita. There are 4 paramparas, and one must learn the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita from one of those paramparas. Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan has mentioned these 4 paramparas in his book, Prameya Ratnavali. Sampradaya Vihinaye Mantraste Nishpala Mataha Attakalo Bhavishanti Chatvara Sampradayina. Sri Brahma Ruda Sanaka Vaishnava Site Pavana Chatvaraste Kalo Bhavya He Utkale Purusotamat Ramanuja Sri Svikchakre Madhvacharyam Chaturmukha Sri Vishnu Swaminam Rudro Nimbadityam Chatusanaha. That mantra that is not received in a disciplic succession does not produce any result. Thus, in Kali Yuga, there are 4 sampradayas, paramparas. They are Shri, Brahma, Rudra, and Sanaka sampradayas. Ramanuja is the acharya of the Shri Sampradaya. Madhva is the acharya of the Brahma Sampradaya. Vishnu Swami is the acharya of the Rudra Sampradaya. And Nimbaditya is the acharya of the Kumara Sampradaya. That was the Prameya of Ratnavali. The Vedas conclude that Sri Krishna is the absolute truth and all living beings are his parts and parcels. The Katha Upanishad states, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidatati Kaman. He is the prime eternal amongst all eternals. He is the supreme conscious being amongst conscious beings, and he alone is maintaining all life. That was the Katha Upanishad. However, despite this, unscrupulous persons still attempt to make a trade with Krishna's words in Bhagavad Gita, and instead of declaring Krishna to be the supreme conscious being, they put themselves forward as being Krishna or God incarnate. Such so-called gurus are actually not gurus but cheaters. This is explained by Shiva in the Padma Purana. Guravo Bahava Shanti Shishavita Paharakaha Durlabha Sadguru Devi Shishasanti Tapaharakaha. There are many gurus who will take the wealth of their disciples, but it is rare to find a true guru who will remove the ignorance and miseries of a disciple. That was Lord Shiva. The cheaters make a big show of spiritual advancement, but in reality they are spiritually bankrupt. Only a genuine representative of Krishna can be guru or a teacher of the Bhagavad Gita. This is the conclusion of all Tattvadarshis. Verse 39. Shraddha Vallabhate Ganam Tatparasam Yatindriyaha Ganam Ladva Param Santim Asarinadhi Gachate. Those imbued with faith and who are devoted to controlling their senses attain this knowledge very swiftly. Thus, they attain supreme peace. Verse 40. Agnascha sradhadanascha samsayatma vinashyati Nayam lokosti na paro nasukam samsayatmanaha. Those who are deluded without faith and full of doubt are ruined. Such faithless people find no happiness in this world or the next. Verse 41. Yoga sanyasta karmanam ganasanchina samsayam atmavantam na karmani nibbannanti dhananjaya. O Dhananjaya, karma cannot bind one who has renounced action through the process of yoga. His doubts are overcome by knowledge, and he has thus realized the nature of the self. Verse 42. Tasma aganam sambhutam hritstam jana sinatmanaha chitvainam samsayam yogam atistotista bharata. Therefore, O Bharat, with the sword of knowledge, slash these doubts of yours that have arisen out of ignorance within your heart. Taking shelter of the process of yoga, stand and fight. Om Tat Saditi Sri Mahabharati Sata Saha Shriyam Samhitayam Vayasikyam Bhishma Parvani Srimad Bhagavad Gita Supani Satsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastri Sri Krishna Arjuna Sambhadi Gana Yoga Nama Chaturbodhyayaha. Om Tat Sat. Thus ends Chapter 4 entitled Jnana Yoga, from the conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna in the Upanishad known as Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Shastra of divine knowledge, from the Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata, the literature revealed by Vyasa in 100,000 verses. Okay, so that ends Chapter 4, Jnana Yoga. In the next segment, we will begin Chapter 5, Karma Sannyas Yoga. Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai, Shri Guru Parampara ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hari bol, hari bol, hari bol.